I will hereby call to order the Sunderland Selectboard. The time is 6:31.
I'd like to call to order the Sunderland Finance Committee. The time is 6:31.
Wonderful. Today's meeting is going to be as streamlined as we can make it. We are mostly here to finalize the amount of the override, which we had discussed yesterday, and then all vote on the wording of the override question itself, which we have here. Thank you for passing it around. All right. We're going to try to go as quickly as possible. Just for context, we have to be done in 25 minutes because of the way the Zoom works and other meetings are happening tonight. Anyways, the first question is, does anybody have any questions that we need to answer before we feel comfortable voting on the $800,000 override?
I have one kind of process. So we moved from a tiered override to one last night, and I feel like we never voted on that and talked about that. And so anybody who's like, would rather have two, I just feel like we should have a vote that says we ended up on this, and I think we might have, I don't know whether we have consensus or majority, but I feel like we at least have majority. But having some kind of like, we came to that decision.
Like, is that part of the process that you
So
normally do?
we never voted on a tiered override either.
Right,
yeah.
So at this,
discussion.
right.
So
At
that's
this
what the
point, I
process
think we
question was.
need to vote on an override.
Okay.
So, and to
I
answer your
agree.
question, I don't think any votes other than the last one are required. We took a couple votes yesterday, honestly, primarily to just settle that thing and not have to talk about whatever that one thing is. There was a couple things we were just like, oh, we got to get this taken care of, so it's settled and we're all in agreement. In terms of voting on the form of the override, that's part of our final vote. We can discuss it. If you would like, we can call any number of votes you'd like. I just don't know that that's
Yeah,
necessary.
I mean, I think we need to vote on this,
Yeah.
and this is our vote for a
That's
single.
vote for saying we don't want a tiered, it's saying that we want a single.
It's
Yeah.
agreeing on this format and this number and all that stuff. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
As a newbie, when I'm reading this, I'm not sure if the additional 800 means that includes the 2.5%.
It does not.
Okay.
So we are allowed to raise 2.5% without any input from town based on need. And
Well, if it from the
Up
town
to-
to vote, the town meeting can do 2.5%.
Okay.
We decide how it's spent, but we.
When I think vote, I mean a town election vote, not a vote at the town meeting. But like in terms of ballot questions, in terms of this, we don't need to ask for up to 2.5%. We can just set it. It passes at town meeting. We're good to go. Anything beyond that is what we have to ask for. So this is going to be the 2.5% plus then $800,000 on top of that is what we're having people vote on.
Should we indicate this is an additional to the 2.5%?
Not in this wording, because this wording is very specifically set by the state.
Okay.
In the argument for this, like, when you get to the election, there'll be like there's often a blurb or something like that about it, or, paperwork people hand out during town meeting will give a lot of information about that. The wording is very much set by the process. Yeah. Phil, any other questions?
The only thing I wanted to just make sure we're all in alignment with, and it does not change this number or my preparedness to move forward with it, is other than certain exceptions that we've discussed or may discuss, the general framework for the budgets we're going to hand out generally is the 5% cut numbers that we got from the places that were able to do that. So not the school, not the stuff, but like highway expense line 4 or whatever it is. There's a request, there's a 5% cut from last year, then there's a draconian cut. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right, that we are gearing towards the 5% cut for most of those lines. There are some exceptions to that.
For example, the police department, we decided their 5%
Yes.
included the officer.
Yes.
We decided to put that back
Yes.
in because.
And Wendy's election money, we can't cut.
Yes.
Yeah, so there have been
Yes.
some adjustments.
And the assessors.
But yeah, the starting point was the 5%
This
cut.
one, because we talked about a lot of things, and there are a lot of exceptions to the statement I made, so that is not like
Yeah.
the rule.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that we hadn't, as we're getting rid of tiers, flop back to the original request in absent of it being an exception.
And also, just to be clear, based on our conversation yesterday, what we're voting on today is just the nailing down, not even how much we're making the budget's numbers, just what the difference between the two budgets is. What we'll do next week is nail down what the base number is based on how much free cash, how much stabilization we're putting into there, and following all the numbers. But that deadline is, I believe, a week and a half out or something like that. So we have a little bit more time on that. We don't have as much time on this part. Any other questions for me on this?
No, that clarification is all I was looking for.
Crystal, anything?
I'm good.
Anything from anyone online?
Is it the tier 2 and tier 1?
It can,
Tier 2.
all good? Did you
Wonderful.
go?
There's a couple people that need to get it. Do you want
I've
to?
been checking, sorry.
It's so tough on the laptop.
All good. Alrighty. So not hearing any more discussion necessary on this, would the finance committee like to take a vote to recommend this override language and number to the select board?
Can we just change it to be B instead of by, I think? Be allowed? Is that
It's the official language.
Sunderland by allowed?
Oh, I'm sorry, she printed, that's it, it's been corrected.
Okay.
The final version, I'm sorry.
You
It's like my
must
editor
use-
stuff. He's like, I'm a writer, all right?
I'm
Like, lawyers
sorry.
don't know what they're talking about.
What I will ask, given that this is what we have in front of you, is the motion you make says the updated language, says, approve the updated language of the thing, if that works.
Thank you for catching.
Yeah,
That was
no
the
problem.
first version, we now printed the second, and I don't know where she put them, so.
So I'm guessing as the chair, I don't move it, one of you has to
You
move
would
it.
say, I would entertain.
I would like to entertain a motion from the finance committee to put forward the language for our override question for the ballot.
I'd make a motion to put forward this language, subject to the one correction that had been mentioned earlier, to move forward with this as the overall language for this upcoming election.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. So the select board so receives that recommendation from the finance committee. Not hearing any more discussion from the select board, at this time I would entertain a motion to approve the language and dollar amount of the override question with the one typo mistake correction.
Alright, I motion we approve the override question with the language on this document with the correction of the one typo.
Do you have a
Dan, are
second?
you on?
You're muted, Dan. You can give us a second. Oh,
I don't think Dan's on.
I didn't see him earlier.
I don't see him on.
He
You
was there.
have to, you can
Well,
second.
I will second it then. All right, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2-0. Thank you very much. All right, so that settles that question. That is the big thing we had to do today. Before we adjourn, I just want to level set with everybody about what our plan going into next week is, so we're all on the same page. We have meetings set up for Monday and Wednesday at 6:30 here upstairs. As normal, we had set that specifically so we had a little bit of time between the two meetings so that people had time to digest and do their calculations and give Becky some time to do her stuff between the meetings. At this point, we have the difference between the two budgets, and what we're doing next week is nailing down exactly what that base number is, so we have both numbers, and then making sure that our allocation of that money within each of those buckets is correct based on the feedback from the town departments, and our own auditing and whatever.
And then we'll set
And
the,
then we'll set the
the
actual,
free cash and
all that stuff.
all that.
And then that will lead up to our deadline to have that in for town meeting, which will be the warrant article town meeting, after which we're pretty good at that point for, you know, the numbers. And then we'll spend time talking about things like how we're going to present it to the town and any kind of materials or supplementary information you think we're going to need to have on hand, because people will definitely have questions about this stuff.
Also, the question of whether these officials want to change the date of the
Mhm.
annual town meeting, we would need a warrant article for that. So in your deliberations, if you could think about that issue too.
For futures,
Not for this year, but yeah.
Not for this year, but if pushing it out, the date recommended by Wendy would be moving it to the third Monday or Friday in May.
So we would gain like 3.5,
I think
4 weeks almost.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it'd be the 4 almost.
great.
So where does that put us in, so we gotta find out too, where that puts us in line with Whately and Deerfield.
Yes.
In Conway. too,
And I
for
think
Western Reserve. Yeah.
Deerfield is the second week in May.
Yeah, they just moved theirs up closer to ours recently.
Correct.
So we had more room before, now they're closer to us, so even if we move back a little bit, we're likely to leapfrog them, which isn't the end of the world, and obviously this is something we can discuss, and we'll continue discussing at the town meeting. And I'll just say that, Mike, there is an advantage to going first, and that is that you will get to, what vote you set sets the stage for the other towns' votes. So for example, if it's a tri-town thing and all 3 towns have to pass it and you don't, hey, it's already done. And so it gives a little bit more, I don't want to say power, but a little bit more sort of like, it's kind of like in the national elections when New Hampshire goes first, like all eyes on New Hampshire. So there is a little bit of advantage. I don't think that advantage is offset by the having more time and having more ability to, especially because it's not like we can just shift all of our schedule earlier, which we can, but free cash certification, a whole bunch of mechanisms are out of our control, that we can't speed the schools up that much and ask for them to give their information earlier, so there is definitely advantage to moving there.
So Wendy's suggestion, just to remind me, it was the which,
Third,
So it would be the third Monday, sorry, I'm looking at the calendar. The third Monday, I think, or the second Friday, the second Friday. So the elections.
Mid-month-ish.
Yeah, so mid-month. And she also mentioned that the week we have it on often hits April vacation, which has been an issue over time.
I think so, do we care if it hits UMass graduation weekend?
Well, this is a discussion for now.
yeah.
Right.
No, I agree. So
I don't know that I care. I
we
mean,
will have
Sorry.
plenty of time to discuss this
Okay.
next week. And if for anyone who cares, do spend some time looking at your calendars and things like UMass calendars, so that if you know there's certain weeks that you would like to suggest we don't put it to, we will do that. That being said, any more new business before we?
Well, there's a chat out there from Heidi, I don't know which Heidi, but it does say, could you put the number in the override motion? Can someone just explain to her that that's not needed yet?
So I can read
I
the.
just wanted to clarify, if there was a number, I wanted to make.
there is a number.
Yeah, so that's a good point, and what I will do is I will read the motion, since that's probably a good idea that we maybe even should have done before we voted on it. But anyways, I will go ahead and read it now. The motion reads, shall the town of Sunderland be allowed to assess an additional $800,000 in real and personal property taxes for the purpose of funding the operating budgets of the town and public schools for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026. So that number is $800,000. I did also, at the request of a number of people, put together some numbers about what that means for the average tax rate. Now, these numbers are rough, because they're just based on my very preliminary research, but they're as close as I can give you in short notice. Currently, for year 26, the median house tax in town is $5,105. The normal 2.5% increase that we're doing as a base is an increase of $127.63 per year, or $10.65 a month. So that's what's already happening if the override does not pass. The override would add an additional $546 per year, or $45 per month. Just so that everyone has that numbers floating around in your head and you put some context to that.
Wait, and Nathaniel,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yep.
We don't re-vote that to say general government and schools, not just town?
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
I thought wasn't this
I
language?
thought this was.
Yeah, but I guess,
That the language comes from DOR. You plop in the amount and you plop in
and then, yeah,
what
there,
it goes for. I just think that it could be iffy with other things that happening to be with the town, but like the EMS and senior center, and I've always seen it as general government. And that would be the stuff that is in the town's budget. But I think general government gives you more of a broader, more known reason to have override. You can do what you want, but.
So can you clarify, is the language you're recommending the template from the state, or is what we have here, the general template from the state, you think that would be better?
No,
We don't
there
want
were
this
two
part.
templates. This was
Was it
for a
template?
single question, and the general government phrase was used in the tier, but it doesn't relate to the tier. I think the general government would make sense to change it to,
yeah, it was, that's.
but it says town, it's already,
Yeah, and so from my perspective, I'm not super concerned either way, but that's also not my specialty. And so Wendy's saying that she'd like it that way, I kind of feel like we go with our clerk, who does this for a living and knows what she's talking about, has had lots of experience. So, I mean, discussion?
I defer to Wendy and
Yeah.
Becky's thoughts
Yeah.
on how to frame this out and which language to use.
Okay.
Yeah, but everything's still coming from DOR.
Yep.
It's just that instead of town, that it says general government and schools. Is
Yep.
what the override is for.
Operating budgets of general government and the schools.
Yeah, so to change the town to general government.
That's it.
Yep, no, I am absolutely fine with that.
Motion on the finance committee, we can do that now.
Okay.
So in that case, we want to take a quick vote to amend
so
our.
Joe just made a motion to amend
Yeah.
it.
I'll second that amendment.
All in favor? Aye.
All right. Received the recommendation from the finance committee, I would entertain a motion from the select board to amend the language.
I motion we amend the language changing of the town to general government.
All right, Dan, give a second.
Yes, second.
All right, we have motion made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Dan Murphy.
3-0. All right, we have changed the language. Thank you, Wendy. We appreciate your input. All right, I think that was everything we needed to talk about. Obviously, we have a bunch to talk about next week, but we've all had a very long week and a lot to think about. And at this time, we should go to public comment and then go from there. Do we have any public comments today? Yes.
So where does this leave the senior center proposal?
So the senior center proposal is in the override. So if the override passes, Sunderland's passing the senior center financing and proposal. If the vote for the override does not pass, Sunderland is rejecting the senior center and funding for it.
And then it still is voted on by the town meeting, in the town meeting?
No, this is the vote. The vote for the senior center is part of the override vote, yes.
Oh,
Yep.
well, that's good news.
When is your town meeting?
So our town meeting is April 24th, thank you.
Friday, April 24th.
And then our election is May 2nd. May 2nd.
And then there may be, I think, other warrant articles, not around the money, but around leases and things, right? Is that
There
still the
could
case?
be, and
There could
I
be.
haven't heard yet, but there
Right,
could
so
be.
there could be other items, but yes, if it does not pass through the budget and through the override, then everything else is involved.
What was the election date, I'm sorry?
May 2nd.
May 2nd is the election date.
Well, I just want to thank all of you for making that consideration. We've put in a ton of effort into trying to get 112 Amherst Road to be our senior center. We've waited decades and decades, and we're not getting any younger. And it just seems that, to me, it seems like the perfect answer. It's not hugely expensive in the realm of everything, and it's a beautiful facility. It's going to be a feather in your cap to have it in this town.
We
And
like
I
our
think
feathers.
it might actually meld some of the energies of the three towns. Instead of everybody being separate, we can form a community where we enjoy each other and where people get along and where a lot is accomplished. So I just really am excited.
I am too.
No, we were very excited also. We wish that the excitement wasn't marred by a very hard budget year and having the discussions about it not be just around the excitement about it, but around figuring out how all the overrides and that work. But no, we are all very excited about the prospect. I can't speak for everyone. I'm very excited about the prospect, and we're looking forward
You're
to.
the next generation coming along.
No, and that's, that's for all of us to remember, is
I
that,
was there, I'm only
all of
16.
us will have a need for the senior center at some point, and what we do
Morning,
today.
you're like,
You'll be
"Yes."
55
Next week is
soon.
getting a lot closer.
Right? My gray hair's not triple.
Any other public comment tonight?
No, we're just
I'm older than
ecstatic that you were able to sharpen your pencils and, because you're the first one that's leading the two other towns come after you, so that probably will apply a little pressure too.
No, and that was, not to tie back to what I was saying, but that is sort of, again,
Right.
that's the thing, is that being
Yep.
that first, there is a little bit of something about that. I don't even know where to put it,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Robbie
Well, at
Thomas.
least you're not the first town to stop it.
Exactly, that is very
And
good.
thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. Wonderful, anything else?
No,
Wonderful.
We're happy.
I will close public comment. At this time, would the finance committee like to adjourn?
I would like to, get one of y'all to, I'd like to,
To adjourn.
yes, thank you.
It's been a rough week.
Second, all in favor?
Aye, Joe Wise.
Thanks, Joe.
At the time, I would entertain a motion for the select board to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
All right, motion made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the time is 6:51,
So
you have 4 whole minutes to spare. Thank you very much, everybody, have yourself a great one.